lovely wife. Thanks for being here. My name is Michonne Maddock, and if you don't know me, I am a housewife first. That's like the kind of thing most women don't like to say anymore, but the truth is, housewives rule. How many housewives do we have in here? Housewives are the women that make the household run. We still have pride in it, even if we're working, even if we're out of the house. There's nothing more important to me than making my house a nice place for my husband, whose life sucks when he goes to Lansing as the state representative. When he comes home, I like it to be pleasing for him. So I like to say that that's, I don't know, my first job, being a wife and a housewife. I'm also a mother of 3 grown kids. We are very blessed in that they are all married to conservatives. Give me an applause for that. That is not easy anymore, right? So we have 6 conservative grown adult kids. They are procreating like God wants them to. We have 2 grandchildren that are 10 months old, a boy and a girl. They are literally the center of our entire lives right now. The whole grandparent thing I didn't get, but I totally get it now. It's like nothing like it. And our middle daughter is expecting our 3rd in August, so we're thrilled about that. On top of all of that, I am a right-wing extremist political activist.
Yeah! All right.
And when you say right-wing, or when I say right-wing, I mean like all the way right. Because I have been called a racist, I have been called an insurrectionist. Yes, we were in the Capitol on January 6th.
All right.
You know, I am also, according to Dana Nessel, a forgerer. What else did she charge us with? Everything. So I am one of the electors that is under indictment. Once again, if you are a delegate, please raise your hand. So half the room. So if you are a precinct delegate, which I stumbled into becoming a precinct delegate, I followed my husband to a couple of meetings. I became a precinct delegate about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. You slowly work your way into the party. You try to figure out, you know, who's in power. You try to figure out whether or not you want to go to state convention and whether or not you care about that. You fight to go to state convention. Maybe you fight for some of these other positions like national delegate, which we have elections coming up for that right now. I've also been blessed to be a national delegate for Trump in 2016. And I also stumbled upon, because none of us really know what we're doing when we first get into this, I sat on the platform committee of the Republican Party in 2016. I think that is the thing that I'm most proud of. People don't realize what even that means. I didn't know. I won national delegate. I was sitting in a bar in Grand Rapids with my husband. There was this guy sitting at the bar next to us. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And he says, "You just got elected to be a national delegate, right?" And I said, "Yeah." You know, I was so excited. I didn't even know what it meant. And he said, "Well, now you need to fight to be on one of the committees." And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, "Well, tomorrow morning there's going to be a meeting of all of the new delegates, and there are going to be committee positions filled." And I said, "Well, what does that mean? And how could somebody like me end up being on one of these committees?" And he said, "Well, there's the platform committee, there's the rules committee, there's the convention committee, I think there was a credential committee." And no sooner than 3 minutes later, my phone buzzes. And this, I'm not going to name his name, but this political consultant who's kind of famous here in Michigan. I had never spoken to this person before. He'd never reached out to me. I get a text from him, and he says, "If you will support my father for the credentials committee tomorrow morning, I would appreciate it." And so I told this guy next to me, I said, "Hey, I'm getting asked to support somebody for committee." And he says, "Tell him that if you support my dad for credentials committee, you want to be supported for platform committee." And I had no idea what that meant, but I did what he said. And the very next day, I got elected to be on the Republican Platform Committee for the 2016 convention. And that was literally a group of a man and a woman of every state across the nation to sit down and write our Republican Party platform. Nice. It was an unbelievable experience, because when you show up at that was in Cleveland in 2016, I'm thinking, now I'm serving on this committee with these other 110 people. We're all great conservatives, right? We're all here because we're all Trump supporters and conservatives. We're going to write the most conservative platform the Republican Party's ever seen. I am telling you that party platform, even then in 2016, was half complete rhinos, total leftists, total socialist Marxist people that somehow worm their way into these high positions within the Republican Party. And it was the most eye-opening thing I think I've ever experienced, because from then on I've realized that we work really hard to elect people into these roles, into governor, into state senator, into state house like my husband, your county commissioners, your school boards, your library boards. And you support these people and you think to yourself they're going to go do what they said they're going to do. You know, I'm a conservative, I'm fiscally responsible, I'm pro-gun, pro-abortion. They all say, you know, anti-abortion. They all say the same things when they're campaigning, right? But you get them elected, and I can tell you from experience of my husband being in Lansing that it does not take anything more than a steak dinner to compromise them. And that is the truth. And that there are only a handful of people brave enough to ever speak out and to speak up and to really represent you. The Grand New Party PAC is all about finding those people. None of us are getting paid. Thank you for that. It's true. We formed this PAC not to try to form some new party that just happens to be the name, the Grand New Party PAC, instead of the Grand Old Party. But the truth is our purpose is trying to refine the people that we elect. It's trying to elect people in these local races, all the way up to maybe state senate, but really we're focused on school boards, we're focused on library, we're focused on state house, winning back the majority. But we want to find not just any Republican, we want to find the Republicans willing to stand up and stand out. I'm very proud that my husband is one of those people. He has lost staff, he's lost committees, he's been kicked out of his caucus in the Republican Party. He's been shunned and ridiculed, and a lot of it had to do with me and my big mouth, so sorry. But the truth is it takes a lot to find that courage to be the person. You know what it's like. You're the person, and now all of a sudden you're not cool anymore. You're not one of the cool kids. You're not part of the club. But I mean, do we really care about that? Where is our country going right now? Right? If people like me, a grandmother, a business owner, a housewife who's just a precinct delegate, can be under indictment, right now the indictment charges have me, I think I could be going away for 60 years. And it's expensive. My attorney happens to be here, Nick Somberg, stand up. The whole purpose of these charges against myself and these other electors, it's a witch hunt. What does President Trump tell you?
Yeah.
They are after him, and in Michigan they are after us because of him. We know it. I know what they want. They want to break us, they want to break me, they want us to be cowering and afraid, and I refuse to be afraid. We have a lot of people here in the room tonight that you're going to hear from. They really have the same story, which is why I felt really good about being here, and thank you for listening to me, because I feel like this is kind of home. I know what it feels like to be victimized. I know what it feels like to be targeted. It's kind of unbelievable. I mean, my stepmother died in a horrific car accident 2 months ago, and when my dad called me, you know, bawling his eyes out, quivering, my very next thought was that I had to get permission from Dana Nussel's office to travel to my dad, to be with him, and hoping that she would give me that permission to travel, because she's already denied me permission to travel. And so if you don't think that it can happen to you, I am here telling you it can happen to any of you. You are all the target. It's not just me and the people you're hearing from. We're just the beginning. It is every one of us. If you call yourself a conservative, if you like to call yourself a Republican or right-wing or whatever it is, you are a target. And they're coming after you, your kids, and your grandkids. Having events like this is not cheap. We paid for all of the food. We had some generous sponsors. You have a link on your table of how to donate. I know everybody's asking you for your money, but I am telling you that your money will not be better spent in Michigan than the Grand New Party PAC, and I don't care if you can only donate $20 to cover your food, or if you can give us $1,000 checks and partner with us. $30 to cover your food. But please, dig deep, donate to the Grand New Party, make your lives a lot easier by using the QR code on your table or filling out your envelopes while you're eating, while you're listening to speakers. If you only donate to 2 things this entire cycle, donate to Donald Trump, save the world. If we don't re-elect Donald Trump this, you know, it's all over, and donate to the Grand New Party PAC, because I promise you, every dime you give will be well spent and well thought out. I want to introduce our sponsors, because we couldn't do this without sponsors. Michael Markey is running for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District. That's on the west side of the state. He started Legacy Financial Network of Grand Rapids over 10 years ago. He's a very successful financial planner. He's not a career politician. He believes that Washington needs bold, new ideas that benefit the people of Michigan. He couldn't be here tonight, but we are very grateful for his sponsorship. Turning Point Action. How many of you guys have heard of Turning Point? They're doing incredible things. 501c4 organization. They exist to equip and empower all generations, but mostly younger people. They are mobilizing individuals to become civically engaged as precinct leaders, and they are also pioneers of ballot chasing, which is very important right now. They are currently focused on an army of 1,000 field organizers for tracking and chasing target ballots in battleground states. So we're very grateful. Is Luke Malice here? I don't think I saw him. Okay, huge shout out to Luke Malice in Michigan for Turning Point. He's doing an incredible job. And last, HEMA for RNC Committee Woman.
Yeah, HEMA!
So these positions, if you're a precinct delegate, if you're not, just bear with us for a minute, but we have an election coming up on March 2nd. The women that HEMA is running against are fine women. I've worked very hard with them, shoulder to shoulder, in a lot of elections, so nothing to disparage them. We need strong voices. HEMA brings something different. She is a legal immigrant from India. She has an MBA, and her company caters to technology staffing needs of Fortune 500 clients. She has an international business. I believe that HEMA will bring to us an entirely different group of people that have been left untouched, which is, first of all, the Indian community, which we have a very strong, huge Indian community in Michigan. But she also was part of the TCF election fraud. She was there with us that night on election night at the TCF Center. She was a witness and testified about what she saw, and she actually testified alongside with Rudy Giuliani. I believe HEMA is a very strong woman who, we've already gone neck and neck together. HEMA will not back down, so if you are a precinct delegate here and if you're going to be at the March 2nd convention, I would ask you to please support HEMA for your national committee woman.
Will do.
And then our legacy sponsor is Glenn Wilson for U.S. Senate. Glenn Wilson is here tonight promoting a grassroots America First campaign. We're honored to have him speak about his campaign tonight. So Glenn, if you want to come on up here, you get to talk. So Glenn, please, about, 3 to 5 minutes, let us know about your campaign and why we should support you.
Good evening, everyone. God bless America. How about we start off there, yes? My name is Glenn Wilson. I'm running for U.S. Senate because I love my country. I'm a dang proud veteran. I've got a family, and I'm worried about them, just like your family. We're worried about what's going on. I'm not a politician. I'm a small businessman out of Rose City, Michigan. I'm a programmer, pretty good one at that sometimes, made a living off it. I grew up right down here, started out next to the city airport. We moved up to Morley-Stanwood when I went to high school. Then I went off in the Army. And I had a little bit of a injury in the military, so instead of crying about it, I went to college to become a mechanical design engineer. And while I was in there playing with all the engineering stuff, I learned how to program. I made some money in my life. I grew up dirt poor, and I'm proud of it. What is wrong with earning a good, honest living and making a good way for your family? Isn't that part of the American dream? And I'm not going to apologize to anybody about being successful, because I worked hard. For 30, 40 years, I got up 20 hours a day, had to make payroll. This isn't an easy thing to do, to be a boss. Sometimes you got to make hard choices. But not as hard as the choice it was to come up here and represent you in Washington. This isn't something I took lightly. This is something that has to be done. If we allow this to continue, Come November 5th, we're only gonna have a choice between deep state rhino or deep state dino. Take your pick. We have to win this in the primary, and I cannot do it alone. I'm here for you and only you. I can't be bought, conned, or coerced. I'm not there to go to Washington to make friends. No, I'm here to save the American dream and back up the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. And I look forward to him being in that office. We're gonna turn this state red. But, I mean, plain and simple, we gotta turn this state red right from the ground up, from every township to every representative to every senator, and then that governor's gotta go. She's one evil person. Has anybody heard about lawfare going on? Really? As a businessman, I cannot imagine how bad I would be sued in New York because I put down something on a financial report to a very competent bank that did their own due diligence. I mean, I've had to borrow, 7 figures to build a network to try to save our schools money. And what happened? The government gave my competition $480 million to put me out of business as a way of saying thank you. The government is really supposed to protect our rights and liberties and freedoms, and they have done a 180 on that. Who here thinks that the government cares about you? I want to see a show of hands. Okay, we got a naysayer. We got one. The government's supposed to secure our borders, otherwise we don't have a nation. They're failing at it. I love my grandchildren, and I got great-grandchildren now, and $34 trillion worth of debt is not the Christmas present I want to put underneath their Christmas tree. We need to balance our budget and get our fiscal responsibilities in order, don't you think? And long before we go protect Ukraine, I don't care what anybody says, we gotta protect our borders. I mean, it's not like I don't like Ukraine, but, let's get real right here, America first. You can't do anything from a point of weakness. And if America's strong, we can help people. All around the world, we have. We should be proud of our Christian heritage. But look what they're doing in Jerusalem. They are trying to wipe out God's people. That should scare everybody. This isn't about just a border conflict. They're out to eliminate the Jewish population from the face of this earth. Now, I thought we already dealt with that. But then again, I thought we dealt with Title IX already when I was growing up. The girls had their own sports. But apparently, we don't know what a man or a woman is anymore. So, like I said, I'm not a politician. And I need your help. Could I do one of Trump's free polls here tonight, please?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have some political advisors that say I shouldn't wear patriotic ties. I should wear something more traditional, okay? So, today's the anniversary of Humor Jeepman, and I got my Humor Jeepman tie on. But let me ask you, should I keep wearing patriotic ties through this campaign, or should I go to the traditional ones? Patriotic ties, raise your hand. Oh yeah, my political advisor is gonna go, sorry, yep, but you got it. And then I thought I'd do something else that's a little bit different. I figured we'd have a tie club when we're done. So, I'm going to give away my tie everywhere I go. Some guy here is going to get my tie, and I'll get me a new one. My wife's great at picking out ties. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give away ties. And when we go to August, we're going to have a nice tie party. It's going to be fun. You'll see all the patriotic ties that I've given away over this campaign, right? Second thing, I got to point this out. I downloaded the qualified voter file. Everybody knows what the qualified voter file is? This is our official state record on voting, right? I noticed an anomaly. As a programmer, I just happened to notice that somebody was registered to vote before they were ever born. And I thought, wow, that's omnipotent. Wow. Okay, that's gotta be a fluke. How many is there? So I did a little query and I come up with over 20,000 of them. So I thought, all right, I'll ask a couple more dumb questions. How many people were alive and voting for the Civil War? Well, believe it or not, we still got them. They're real good patriots, I'm telling you. If you want to live a long time, you move to Michigan. That's, if you go I think our battery. Can you hear me again? I think we're going to lose our battery. But there's a sheet back there. I want everybody to pick up a copy of the sheet. Battery's about dead. On here, it talks about all the issues I found. And then I'm gonna add one more button that puts the people that voted more than once in an election. Now the thing is, I'm doxing all these people and I'm giving you the clerk's number to get a hold of. Pull up this map, call your local clerk, and we'll clean up the voter rolls whether they want it done or not. Yes? So again, my name is Glenn Wilson. You can go to voteglenwilson.com. And yes, I need all the help I can get. I need petitions signed. I need donations done. We are at war, people. And I need to be able to fire the cannons across the bow of these things. All right, so in order for that to happen, I have to get some ammo. Those are called US dollars. Unfortunately, don't worry, I'll get to auditing the Fed when I get there, but right now I gotta get there, okay? So, if there's anything, if any of you guys ever wanna look in the mirror and say, what did we do for our grandkids? We have a chance right now to go drain that swamp. We have a chance to turn this state red. Debbie's stabbing out, whatever you want. See, I still vote, it's stab me now, what can I say, you know? The lawfare that they have going on affects all of you guys, really. Ken, he's one of the electors, okay? Think about it, you know somebody that's been affected by this. We have to stop it, we have to drain that swamp, okay? And I'm not talking about just the liberal side. We've got a bunch of people that infiltrated the Republican Party, and I'm calling them rhinos just to be polite, okay? I'll call them traitors. You know, you got deep state, they're picking and choosing their winners and losers, and they don't think you get a choice. I'm here to give you that choice. Yes. I have no other agenda. I'm here to save America, and I need your help. Now is the time we take this country back. And God bless you, and may God bless America.
So Glenn, did you tell us how you were giving away your tie?
Yeah. No, there's somebody that usually asks for my tie before I leave. There's a
Okay.
gentleman over here that wanted it, so I'll just give it to him right now.
There you go. First guy that
There you go.
asked. Glenn, we're giving away your tie.
You wanted my tie, you got it.
All right, we also want to thank our vendors. We have Axe by Tax. How many of you would like to eliminate property taxes? Hell yes. Anything you can do to help these people. I think they're gathering signatures, obviously donations, but in the very back of the room, he's holding up a, do not leave without walking back there and signing, because that is a huge help for them. It's very hard to get all of these signatures. So, you know, we have 150 people in the room. Please visit him. Women for Gun Rights in the back of the room, right back here. Citizens for Local Choice. Citizens for Local Choice restores local control over energy projects, preventing wind and solar from being imposed on communities against their will. Both of these campaigns are collecting signatures. How many of you guys think all of this solar power is really working well this winter in Michigan? I told my husband when the sun came out today, I felt like a vampire. I mean, I couldn't even open my eyes in the car. We've had no sunlight, so that's so much for solar and wind. And then we also have the Women for Gun Rights, Marcy Jankovic. Will you raise your hand again? In the very back. Thank you so much for stressing the importance of true female empowerment by exercising their rights under the Second Amendment. We would also like to thank our volunteers. Shane already did that, but you can't do this without volunteers. And I'm going to say it again, if you haven't donated yet to the Grand New Party, please, not only can you donate on the table, but I don't care if you come up here while we're speaking, please visit the silent auction. It's a great way, you get to take something home, a present for something. We've got some great items up there, but please, all of the ladies who love to shop, come up to the silent auction. All right, Lucas Gerhardt. How many people know who Lucas is? Big applause. Lucas is a patriotic young man who faced truly Orwellian levels of tyranny after he posted a picture of his rifle on social media. God forbid. Going to Lake Superior State University because fragile, weak, snowflake girl was triggered by his rifle. He was charged with terrorism. He was thrown in jail. He was put under house arrest. It doesn't say here, but I think it was a really long time. He faced decades in prison. Imagine this family, what they went through. Just imagine that. Picture this as your son. You're the father. He endured, he emerged from this nightmare scenario a free man. I know that this was at a great financial cost to this family. But he is now emboldened to continue to be a very outspoken conservative, and thank God we have young men like this. Lucas, come on up here.
Hello. I think it's too much. Well, I could talk really loud, so I can continue to talk. So yeah, I'm Lucas Gerhardt. If I ramble on too long, somebody tell me to shut up, but I got a lot to say. And this all started about, this all started in 2019. I was going to college, like she said, in 2019, to Lake Superior State University, which is, if you don't know, in the UP, a gun-friendly area, supposedly. So while I was going there for 2 years, I had repeatedly made it very clear I was a mainstream Trump conservative. I did not hide that fact whatsoever. In fact, I made it very clear to everybody who asked me about it what my beliefs were. Now, that didn't sit right with a lot of the college communists and the Marxists, including the faculty. So I naturally continued on and endured through that through multiple police contacts. People called the police because they didn't like the things I was saying. These things were not threats. These things were not out of the ordinary. They were very mainstream ideas. So the police would come and they would basically harass me. They would question me. And through this, I just continued on. I continued on waiting for them to basically give up. But I wasn't going to give up. I was not going to quit. They didn't like that. So they also tried to basically kick me off the campus by harassing me. The students they smashed my car windshield out one time. They had me searched by the police.
Thank you, and I hope you heard that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So they harassed me. My car windshield was smashed out while I was going there for 2 years, but I didn't leave because who are they that kicked me off campus? What kind of example would it set if a conservative was being kicked off campus because a bunch of communists didn't like him being there? That's kind of what the example I want to set is that I didn't quit, and I don't think any of you should either, because this is going to happen. This adversity is going to come and hit you if you were saying the right things. If you are not being questioned by people, you're not saying the right things. Because right now the mainstream idea is basically this leftist narrative. That's what's being vocalized right now. Conservatives really need to speak up and stand up for what they believe. Too often we see conservatives basically break under the weight of the pressure. They kowtow to the liberal, the mainstream narrative. We sacrifice the people who stand up on the altar of social justice. And I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be sacrificed on the altar. So I, basically continued on what I was doing. Now, the reason I'm here is because eventually I did do something that they essentially were able to get me for that wasn't necessarily wrong at all. I posted a picture of my rifle. I just bought a new rifle, and I said that it ought to melt snowflakes. And by snowflakes, I meant snow, which I did literally mean because it's UP, but I also meant sensitive people. And what they interpreted it as, they said that they interpreted it as a threat. So they sent the police to get me. I went up to college. There was no police presence. I went to the armory. I turned my rifle into the armory because that's what they're supposed to do. And I went to sleep, and I woke up with the police at my door. And I'm like, well, why are you here? And they said, well, we're investigating you for terrorism. And when it got to the point that I was asking him, how the hell does melting snow equal terrorism? The police officer literally told me that he asked me if I'd seen the Wizard of Oz before, and I said yeah. And he's like, well, what happens to the Wicked Witch? And I said, well, she melts and she dies with a bucket of water. And he's like, well, that's what we're talking about. He means he attributed melting snow to melting a bucket of water on the Wicked Witch as melting, meaning a snowflake death, basically. That's a school shooting threat. That's what he equated it to. So, and that, of course, was a bunch of BS. They didn't actually believe that. They were looking for a way to get me out of there. They didn't want me there because I was causing them problems by basically saying the truth and by supporting my president and supporting, conservative values. And the trouble here, too, is that the school wasn't majority liberal. The problem was that the conservatives didn't really stand up and say anything. So I dealt with this for 2 years, and nobody said a damn thing. When it came time to, when the police came, I didn't have a whole lot of support. Although, some people in the room here today did really support me, and I appreciate it so much. Shane Trejo was one of the first people to give me a good article out there and get me into the sphere of knowledge, because the trouble is too, a lot of this stuff happens all the time and nobody knows about it. And I have other people here too. My dad, of course, supported me through the whole way, and Nick Stomberg and Gina. I mean, Nick was one of my lawyers the whole thing, and I didn't expect to even see him here, but I'm glad he's here. And it's good to have people support. And I guess the reason I'm here too is also to tell you that enduring through this whole conflict, the whole process, it's hard. It really is hard, but it's necessary. You can't give up, because if you give up, it sets a bad example, and people, they lose faith when their heroes pop up. In the news. I have the privilege to meet Kyle Rittenhouse over the summer. Imagine if he just quit, pled guilty. What that would do to our movement to just give up. You can't do that, because when you do, it basically says that they're right and we're wrong, which isn't true. I didn't do anything wrong by saying I was going to melt snowflakes and offend people, because it's the truth. It did offend them. They literally proved me right when they were so offended that they called the police. I mean, who calls 911 over a photo of a gun saying you're going to melt snow? I mean, what kind of a sensitive, little snowflake does that? I guess, I can't even comprehend that. So, and it comes down to really the newer generation too. And I appreciate the Grand New Party having me here, and I think it comes down to people my age and younger as well. The education system, is brainwashing these people to believe that this is okay, that you can basically cancel people. This Marxist, and it is what it is. It's Marxist culture to basically shout down and cancel speakers like what we're going to have tonight. Additional to me, which I've already met some of you guys, and I appreciate you being here as well. But I mean, there's so many details. This went on for 4 years. I was not found. Well, they basically dropped my case after 4 years without trial. So this ended in 23, was it? I don't even remember. It was so long. It was 4 years. They didn't give me a trial. They basically dropped it at the end and said, "Oh, sorry." And I had talked to the prosecutor, and she told me, I asked her, "Did you really think I was a terrorist this whole time?" And she's like, "No, but we had to be sure." So, and it cost, patriots like all of you donated $100,000 to my case. I would have probably been found guilty because I didn't have the money to defend myself. I was a broke college student. Without my dad's help, initially, my bond was set at $250,000 to get out of jail. So they held me in jail for 3 months, and I was on house arrest for like 4 more years, basically, I think. It's hard to remember. I mean, the days just started to, shift by. But through all that, I lost my grandfather, and similarly, as we just heard, the prosecutor was gracious enough to let me go take care of him in hospice while he died. And I lost my last years with him because of this whole situation as well. So this can happen to you. Really, I was just some random college student. The only difference between me and my other peers was that I had spoken up, and I assume that anybody in this room right now would be doing the same thing, speaking up for what's right. So it could happen to you. It could happen to your kids, your parents, anybody, your friends, your family, your neighbors, anybody. So it's not some distant thing you hear in the news. It's not some distant, just random event. So it's a lot. It really is, and I really don't. It's hard to really pin down exactly what else I can say about it. It goes on, but you just can't quit. You just can't give up. That's really it.
Yeah!
I want to mention this too. I have these medals made for our supporters here. Anybody can see wearing this really helped me out. It's a Chippewa County campaign medal for their service against the snowflake menace in Chippewa County. We defeated them. That's the other thing you gotta take from this. We beat them. They didn't win. We won. All right? They didn't win. And again,
what an inspiration, a young man. 2 of the things he said that really strike me. First of all, that his university is not especially liberal, but there weren't enough people willing to stand up. And you know, even in this room, I know what it's like to have fear. How many people here have ever had the FBI visit their house? We're in the right room.
I feel left out.
You know, and you think to yourself, wow, that would never happen to me. I mean, like when I try to tell you guys that I'm just a housewife, business owner, grandma, and you think, yeah, but she's being indicted and, you know, she's going to court. I'm telling you, it's all of you. And if you don't find your voice and find a way to be brave, you know, what Shane Trejo did when he reached out to Lucas, you know, not many people were probably reaching out to him, and how many people on his own campus were supporting him? How many other parents of other conservative students on that campus were calling up that family and saying, oh my gosh, I feel for you, how can I help? How can I be with you? The dad's just telling me, zero. You know, it's not enough to just come to an event like this and eat chicken. And I know that I've already asked you for money, that's not even enough either. You need to find your voice. And you need to be stronger than you even think you can be, and you need to be willing to put yourself out there and be victimized and be ridiculed and be called everything. I've been called everything. Racist, misogynist, I mean all of it. It doesn't matter, they're just names. This is what they do. But we need to we need to dig deep, and we need to be brave. We're gonna take a brief 7-minute break, so you can all get another drink and get out your checkbook to donate to the Grandview Party. And we also want you to come up and visit the silent auction. So 7-minute break, and it's going to be worth it. We're going to have great speakers next up.
Oh, I know Scott Greenlee. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do yeah, I love him. Yeah,
Her office is actually close to my office anyway. She's on like, we're 10 Mile and Grand River meeting. Election integrity, sheriff, the one sheriff was here from Arizona. Yeah. There was, no, that was in Arizona sheriff. It was, he was talking about the Arizona sheriff.
He's moved up now. No, you're
She can't give away the company secrets. Don't tell her. I wouldn't tell her. Oh, she wants to take some home. She's watching. Pass out.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say kind of no, I taking a rain check. I told everybody you gotta pay it back too fully. I take 2 days.
I'm gonna join your church. Don't do that. Are you really crazy? Did you have a good year? Oh my. Well, I ate meat tonight, but Lisa it's not arranged. I asked Lisa permission before dinner. That's almost as good as it goes.
Yeah, right?
It is better than better. I said, you know what? We won't eat nothing tomorrow.
You don't like Francis either? Yeah. That's what I tell mom. I tell mom all the time. I like Francis. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Did you think? Right?
That's why I told my mom she didn't like it.
Yeah, he is one of them. There's multiple antichrist, aren't there?
Just gonna let you know. Got the win a little bit.
Obama. Last one?
Well, what he did is he downloaded it into categories. You can zoom up your things, so it's all on this and everything that you download. He's actually going to add a mail-in boss and voted in person. So he's going to So he's going to do that. And when you click on a pin, don't download all these. Just hit one at a time.
Off the wagon.
He's so off the wagon. He's walking off Hollywood.
I'll be back on the wagon. Right now I'm off. I'm enjoying
This
it.
was voted in the last election. My husband's listed as an absentee ballot. He's never voted absentee. So we can even re-download this. Yeah, just go right to the bottom. It says electionmilitia.com. That takes you right to the ballot. You can also go to openbutton.com and try to back in there too.
But I mean, the list that he said that he downloaded, did we all download that list that he downloaded?
You have to pay for it. He had to actually buy a lot of gigabytes or whatever to download it. Was way.
I mean, like, hours.
But I think you should be able to. That was the Michigan voter files. That's he just says what he did like, but I'm never sure how he puts it up. Like anybody that voted, we gotta check off everybody. They cite our vote. I'm not sure. That could be a good question to ask. We have it in our system. Maybe if there's something you need to know, just find your number.
Wow, look so far.
Yeah, I was at the Yeah, my father spoke. How many signatures do you have?
Because you have to have 15,000, but you want to get around 30. long as there is people that got him to trust or help, the way James Gray screwed himself is he hired a company that wasn't a reputable company that screwed him over. So you just gotta make sure that you're dropped out. He's running for mayor now. He was running for Senate. James Gray wanted to run for Senate, but then his it's for governor, not this time. He's running out of this race because he's funding and his momentum just wasn't there. Well, this in terms of money, because I mean, you want to raise about $10 million, or really does it have good donors, or
working on it. We just got started the race. I guess I don't think it's a clear trade. Bahamas, but I just think my husband.
No, he doesn't have a cash.
I thought he did great. Typically talked at that breakfast. I liked his line about there. Oh, yeah, he is a straight shooter. Oh, yeah. It's not self-dealing. That's what I like about Rogers. It's like Rogers is like stocking for about that. It's the definition of revolving door. It's like
I don't like Michael.
The problem is Rogers he was the first person that spoke at breakfast. Yeah.
He told my friend that runs county party club that he wants all the J6 people to do the J6. Raise that. Oh yeah. Privately. But my friends tell me, he's like, what do you gotta understand? He's a former cop, so he's gotta be respected.
I'm laughing during the break because when I asked the question about how many people have had the FBI visit their house, I really was not expecting the response that we got. That was great. So I'm going to start. We've got some people still milling around, getting back to their seats. Thank you for donating to the silent auction and for getting your checks in with the brand new party pack. I'd like to talk about some people. Eric, and I'm hoping I'm saying the name right. Is it Molitor? Eric Molitor, William Null, and Michael Null, brothers, were ensnared in the phony Whitmer kidnapping plot. Molitor and the Null brothers were found innocent in the court of law after this case fell apart in court, and it fell apart spectacularly. All of you guys were following it. Federal agents were exposed for faking the fake kidnapping plot against Whitmer. And why did they do it? At that time, they did it to drive headlines into the lead up to the 2020 presidential election. I mean, think about that. This entire plot, all of these proceedings, it was about grabbing headlines, a lot like what I talk about when I talk about the electors right now, same thing. It's capturing headlines to make Republicans look guilty, nefarious, frightening. We're bad people, we're scary. And it's trying to make, all of these rational, quiet people that call themselves in the middle, which I don't know how anybody could be in the middle anymore, make decisions about staying home or just not being involved. These brave men are here. They're going to talk about their story. They're going to talk about how the deck was stacked against them, how they beat incredible odds to secure their freedom, and the struggles that they and their families still face over the oppression that they endured. Their stories are shocking and they will horrify you, but their courage in the face of this unimaginable oppression will also inspire you. So let's give these men a hero's welcome. Come up here and take the stage, guys.
All right, hi everybody. I didn't know being sick, so my voice might be cracky. I'm Eric, the terrorist.
Can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me better now? All right, I can hear me better now too, so that's good. I'm a little nervous when I first start talking, so sorry about that. But yeah, as you heard, I'm one of 14 men who was accused of the Governor Whitmer kidnapping hoax. And it was not true. Obviously, it was a setup by the feds. However, an innocent person was raided by 40 FBI agents during a family get-together. They decided that they were going to point guns at everybody, including my 2 kids, who were 7 and 5 at the time. And yeah, that was pretty traumatizing. I had custody of both my kids at the time as well. I no longer have custody of them. They went back to their mom. My family, of course, has suffered some PTSD through this, and I myself, I learned a new thing. It's called CPTSD. So apparently, that's something that I have that I didn't have before. So that's nice. One thing that you'll keep hearing from people is that they're really kind of a nobody. We're just regular people. We don't do anything spectacular, and next thing you know, you're just getting raided by the FBI. So when these people stand up here and tell you that you are next, it's not a joke. Every single one of you is next. This is what they want. They don't want conservatives. They don't want a dissenting voice whatsoever. So if you do anything, outside of that, they will find a way to come after you. You need to look up the FBI list of red flag words, one of which is LARPing. That stands for something, live action role playing. It's like adults playing stuff, and apparently that's a word that can get you on a list. Speaking of lists, I was acquitted back in September 15th, right? It's been like 6 months now. Just a few weeks ago, I was finally taken off the terrorist watch list and the no-fly list. As an innocent person, for 5 months, I was still on those lists. It took that long also to get my weapons back, all my stuff back. I had well over 20 grand worth of stuff. I did finally get it back though. Instead of standing up here and talking about what happened so much, I'd actually like to talk about what I'm doing going forward because of this. And you've already heard a little bit, but getting involved locally, so your township level, your county level, become a delegate. It matters. But that's a great place to start. A lot of times people say nobody listens to you. It doesn't matter, where you say it, who you say it to, but it does matter. And local is where your voice is going to be heard very well. So anyways, my brother and I started our own group. It's a movement more than a party. CONSOL stands for Constitution Solution because we believe the solution to all our problems are found in the Constitution. It's a perfect document. And a lot of the things that my brother and I came to terms with, I'm actually hearing already in this group. So again, it's like being in a room full of friends already. It makes it a lot more comfortable to talk to you. But anyways, I am a delegate now. I was voted in. And so I plan on making a difference starting locally. And as a delegate, you can still run for other seats. So I'll let these fellas talk, and then I don't know how much time we're allowed, but if anybody had any questions about what happened, I typically like to let people ask because you guys know what you want to know, So anyways, this is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
We're in the same boat. We're going to start somewhere. We put in our paperwork for being delegates too. I'm not a very good public speaker yet, but we'll get there. I think the main thing for everybody is just don't give up. If you're innocent, do not quit. Push through it. Whether you're found guilty or not, there's always other avenues, but you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing through. So.
Don't quit.
I'm Bill Null. We actually ran our own militia in 2015. You guys seen when Trump was being elected, people couldn't even go out and voice their opinion without being attacked. So we had started our group back in 2015, and all we ever did was protect people. It didn't matter what side you were on. If you showed up and you were Democrat and you were counter-protesting these people, we kept everybody safe. We worked security at so many events for actual other politicians. Patrick Kobeck, we had a big rally for him. We worked security for that. In 2018, we actually had a good rapport with the FBI. Things can change quick, and as soon as the political narrative changes, everybody in here is in, you're not safe. They will do whatever they want. Look at the lady in Colorado. The FBI raided her for speaking out at a school board meeting. She was a terrorist. The things that they will do to your family enrages me still. Our house was raided after my brother and I were both arrested at the gas station. Our children were held hostage in cars for 4 hours while they destroyed our house after their threat was gone. These people are cowards with guns, and they will attack you and they will kill you if they have to. They make up stories. The news, the stuff that came out of the news, when you're going through it, I'm sure you guys can testify to it. It's like watching a movie about somebody else and they're using your face. And the media's in on it, the government's in on it. This was a political witch hunt. They wanted to demonize militias because of the presence here. We were making it to where people were comfortable around us. Big scary guys with guns all the time, but there was never any violence. Everybody was always polite, and we were always respectful to everyone. Just don't give up. There was so many people in this case that gave up, and now they're sitting in prison. There's, the guys that pled guilty in the federal case, they got the shortest amount of time, but the guys in the state case, they gave up. They're looking at 20 years in prison for pleading guilty. The 2 guys in our case, the prosecution, they ended up flipping it and raised their threat level after they agreed to a deal. You're even in an agreement that you give yourself, they can turn on you and it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it. Your only hope is a trial by jury, and hopefully you get a straight jury that's not filled with left-wing lunatics, because in justice, the Justice Department is politically ran now. You can't get a fair trial in a liberal county if you're not a liberal. So yeah, just watch what you say on social media. They will go back 100 years if they have to and dig up something, and that you're predisposed to this condition that they call you a terrorist now for voice and opinion. I say you should actually get louder. If everybody in here actually just stood up, there never has to be violence if everybody just stood up, voiced their opinion, and have each other's back. We got lucky. Our family, we are close. We went through it. The family went through it. They had us lawyers before we ever even got an arraignment. They already had our attorneys there. Our attorneys had to fight to actually be a part of our arraignment because the government already picked us lawyers to represent us without us actually, we didn't ask for lawyers. Everything about this case was corrupt from the beginning. The FBI lied on the stand for 7 days. And all the judges, the prosecutors, they're all in on it with the FBI. The FBI picked our jury, and then Dana Nessel condemned the Antrim County for acquitting us. There's no way out of this except for us standing together. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm not real good at the public speaking either. So.
Good job.
I guess there's a couple of things that I wasn't prepared for this, I guess, but there's a couple other things during the trial, talking about how the FBI lies and whatnot. Agent Impola took a timestamp and placed it 4.5 hours earlier to paint a narrative that I was in on plans, that I knew about stuff before I was duped into a ride up to Antrim County. And when that got brought up in court, the prosecution had to recant what they said and everything, but it rewrote the whole narrative. And
The liars!
Yeah, liars and cowards, dude, for real. Let's see. And then the other thing that was really surprising, when you go through this sort of stuff, you know, you can watch all the TV shit that you want. But when you go through this stuff yourself, and I call it seeing behind the curtain, man, let's talk about Wizard of Oz again, right? You look behind that dang curtain, and you cannot go back to the reality that you grew up and you were told about, man, because it's not real. I lived a lie, and now I can't be a part of the system again, but I'm still in it. The only thing that we can do is change this from the inside. So again, grassroots movements. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you, by the way, Grand New Party, for hosting this event this year. One of my ideas was to get all people affected by the government, so us, the J6ers, the false electors, anybody who's been, but we all need to come together and, like Bill said, be noisy. Like, we need to be noisy and get this out. Man, I really don't know what else to say. We have 3 years of this under our belt, so to sit here with a few hours, like, I don't even know where to start, where to end, because if I started, you know, we don't got days, you know? But, yeah, so I guess, is that okay?
So your family is here. Tell us who's here.
My wife, my niece, her friend. This is my oldest son, my sister-in-law, my sister, my youngest son, my cousin, and my niece. They've been with us. Yeah, they've been with us through thick and thin. We spent 2 months in jail, and they held the whole family together. So, yeah, it was brutal. Yeah, well, he had to grow up real quick. He's just now 20. He was 16. My other son was only 13 when it happened, and these, like I said, they traumatized him. It's, it puts me in a rage.
It's a beautiful family. Thank you guys. We know what you're going through. This is Does anybody have any questions for right here, John Smith? I'm ignoring my husband. He can't be first. John.
So, my county chair is part of the TAR. I don't know if you're familiar with their story.
Yes, we heard
He's
about
been
it.
2 years in prison. He's continuing his mission in militia. Are you guys continuing this mission as well?
Eventually, I don't know. It depends. I'm honestly want to put my name on ballot for governor soon. I mean, I may be reaching for the stars, but we've got to do something.
Any other questions? Okay, Matt.
I just want to answer. You guys think certain you do it, and we all apologize for what you've done on behalf of our government, right? Have any of the agents or FBI guys, or it was mostly FBI, is that correct?
It was a mix of average.
Has anyone been punished or fired, demoted, or promoted?
The only guy that got in trouble was the guy that beat his wife after a swingers party.
Right.
Yeah. And I think he only got suspended. I don't even think he got fired.
So it has nothing to do with your case, though?
No.
So no one's leaving this.
Was your local sheriff involved in persecuting you?
That's a really good question. I have no idea about mine.
My local sheriff is Sheriff Darleaf. That goes back, and I could have told that earlier, but Allegan County Sheriff came into Berry County, and they did not tell Darleaf that they were raiding my house. Allegan County Sheriff worked with the state police and the FBI to ransack my home and my brother's home. He lives in Allegan County. I do believe the reason why they had my brother and I in this is because of our relationship with our county sheriff. He stood with us at a few events. He spoke out up against Whitmer, and then suddenly he's left in the dark. They bring us in. They knew our relationship with law enforcement, even as a militia. All they had to do was call Dar, and they would have been like, hey, they've got warrants for arrest. Dar knows us. He would have called us, and we would have turned ourselves in. Instead they had to put our family through it. After 2 months in jail, the first time we sat down with our lawyers, Greg Townsend, who was attorney general in our case, he ended up getting fired for putting an innocent man in prison for 16 years for withholding evidence of his innocence. So he was relieved from our case, but he offered us, they said if we implemented Darleaf in this plot, they could probably dismiss our charges. So when you think it can't happen to you, you can be a sitting sheriff and say something wrong and they will try to get you.
Yep.
I want to say something. You asked about militias, and I do want to speak on that real quick if we're going to continue on. I'm not part of their militia. We live like over 100 miles away from each other. I was not even a part of a militia when I got raided. I do plan on either joining one or starting my own, however, because the government is trying to push these anti-paramilitary bills. Well, paramilitary is militia, and also under that bill, it would cover church security. So you could get in trouble if you're part of a church security, if you have a structured command, if you train together for, things that could possibly harm somebody. Well, part of defense is learning how to harm people, possibly, It's not your go-to, but...
Well, like you said, you gotta be louder.
Yeah, you gotta be louder. So the reason that I would join or start my own again is just a big middle finger to the government because it's constitutionally protected. How dare they tell me what I can and cannot do? It's done. But yeah, I wanted to answer that.
Any other questions? Right here.
Yeah, could you guys tell just like a quick story, summarized, how the agents, the FBI agents or whatever government agents, deceived you and trapped you and got you guys to do things you weren't realizing what you were doing that led to your indictment?
Well, the three of us were actually, we couldn't use entrapment as our defense, so it actually wasn't entrapment. We never actually did anything illegal. We were implemented into this plot because I was invited to a militia cross-training by an FBI agent by the name of Steve Robeson. He turns out that the FBI will hire anybody. He's actually a pedophile and he's a rapist, amongst many other frauds and felonies that he's created. He represented himself as the national commander of the Patriot 3% militia. He supposedly helped law enforcement track down and put a stop to sex trafficking rings. Well, as a militiaman and a father, that's something I could get down with. So yeah, it was like, he showed me candy in a van and I went. It's a shame what they've done, but the FBI lies even in court when they say like the Wolverine Watchman. None of us here were ever a part of the Watchmen. We didn't know the Watchmen. I only know the names of everybody involved in this case because they were in trial. The leader of the Wolverine Watchmen was an FBI informant by the name of Dan. So the leader of Adam Fox's national commander, they treat Adam Fox as he's this big scary guy. He was duped by the FBI as well. Dan was like a father figure to him. He's an FBI informant. Steve Robeson started his group and founded it, handed out business cards and started his group for him here in Michigan. Jenny Plunk was another leader of a militia. She was attached to Barry Croft. And yeah, selling guns. Steve Robeson had guns on him every time I seen him, but he was a felon for 20-some years already. When the FBI said they burnt him because he was a double agent and because he bought a firearm, they knew he had firearms on him from the day they started employing him to be an agent provocateur. It's never ending. You don't know, there was 13 or 14 informants that they know of, plus Adam Fox had 2 FBI agents in his group now. Adam Fox had 5 or 6 feds in his group with him, and he's the ringleader, and he got put in prison for 16 years after a botched first trial. They had 2 men acquitted in that trial. Who knows how many jury members found him guilty. They had to retry him because if they didn't get a conviction in that case, the rest of us walked no matter what. So they had to get a conviction. They weren't allowed to talk about the first trial in their case. What people don't know is you think you get a fair trial even with a jury, but there's certain things that the judges control, they won't even let the jury hear, like words. And so the FBI, and I don't know how it worked in the federal case, but the FBI funded their agents to invent a plot, and then they're the investigators, and then they sit down with the prosecution and they prosecute the case, and then behind the scenes, as you're getting your jury picked, they pick the jury for you. Then they sit there and testify to their own defense, because if the FBI is involved, it's only to cover up their involvement.
If this sounds incredible, it sounds like a Netflix series, right? Which, there's a documentary being made, that's what the people that are here right now, so someday everything he's saying is gonna make a lot more sense to all of us when we get to listen in and figure it out, because it's incredible how deep it is. Do we have any other questions? Right here, Nick.
Thank you. I want to ask if you know just how much resources, as far as money, ammunition, that the FBI brought to the table to further this big plot.
Millions and millions.
Yeah, million. I think wasn't what Barry was. How much did they spend on Barry? Christina Ursaw, she is fantastic. She's been an advocate for us since this whole thing started. She knows more about my life or this case than anyone I've seen. She sat through it all. She has the evidence. Everything we're saying has been documented, and it's been in the trials and cases. It's evidence that they already have. Kidnap and kill, fednapping plot. But yeah, they spent millions just on Barry Croft. He was an over-the-road truck driver, and they were trying to implement him in a crime. So they were flying drones and following him for a year or so to implement it. And then they set Steve Robeson and Jenny Plunk on him. And I don't know what them two made, but I know that Dan running the Watchman, he was 60,000, 54,000. Christina, come up here.
They paid for a new home, they paid $60,000.
So Dan Chappell, the lead informant, he was paid $54,000 in cash, the envelopes of cash that said Chase Bank on it. And he got a new laptop, he got a smartwatch, they paid to relocate him. So this was for about 7 months' work for him. His annual salary was about that much. He also said in text messages to his handling agent, he was building his resume by framing these men and setting them up. And then he wanted to go to college to be in law enforcement. Steve Robeson was paid around $20,000 for setting these guys up. Jenny Plunk around $8,000.
Wow. Really quick, there's a young girl. Is your name Michaela? Will you come up, Michaela? How's Michaela related to you? That's my daughter. It's okay. I just want everybody to see this face. This makes me want to cry as a mom, because Michaela's been crying on and off this whole time. How old are you? 16, so you were 13, right? When they came into your home? I don't know, I just want you guys to see her face, because this is really what it's about. It's about the families. And they didn't just do this to these big burly men who carry guns. This is how they victimize you. Because imagine what it does to the dad. You know, your fathers, imagine what it does to your daddy. He feels so guilty about what he did to his daughter. I know that already, because I'm doing it, you know, I feel that way about my own kids. So anyway, Shane, can you come up here, our executive director? He's gonna wrap it up. Shane needs to grab his speech. I'm sorry, Michaela, but you're just so beautiful, and I just wanted everybody to see you so we can all be praying for you and all of your families, your beautiful family tonight.
All right, well, again, I'm Shane Trejo, Executive Director of the Grand New Party PAC. I am Shane Trejo, Executive Director of the Grand New Party PAC, coming back up here again. Thank you. Lovely, big, friendly audience. But one of the things that I want to mention today is that these men who were targeted, they weren't, mere victims of circumstance. They were targeted because they were patriots, because they stood strong. These are men who were cut from the same cloth as the Founding Fathers. Men who are ready, willing, and able to stand up against our nation's enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is why the corrupt system attempted to make examples of them. What the system wanted was for these men to take plea deals, turn on other patriots, and be examples that the system could point to and say, oh, look at these violent, malicious threats. See what we mean when we say that conservative right-wingers are the #1 terror threat in America. That's the narrative they wanted to perpetrate. And they wanted to use it as a justification to fund their operations, get bigger budgets for the FBI, and then have more sting operations targeting patriots in what would amount to a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then that example would be set to other patriots, that they should sit down and shut up and accept tyranny, or they might be next. But because these men stood strong, the system's narrative has fallen apart. Because they fought back in the court of law, the deep state now has the exact opposite of what the example that they wanted to achieve and show. Instead of having examples of domestic extremists found guilty in the court of law, they have men who now stand as examples, living examples of just how corrupt our government is. The government has been exposed, and as more people hear the gut-wrenching stories of oppression endured by men like Bill, Michael, Eric, and Lucas, their eyes will be open and their hearts will be changed. They'll understand who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. We need these stories to be heard. People shouldn't be afraid to post pictures of their guns on the internet. That's a core First and Second Amendment right. That right should not be revoked just because somebody gets offended. And militia should no longer be a dirty word. Think about, look at society and its current trajectory, its downward trajectory. A militia is something that we're going to desperately need sooner rather than later. And the middle class, the suburbs, the moderates, the independents, they're going to change their tune very quickly when they really feel the pain of the agenda from the globalists that's being perpetrated on them right now. So we at the Grand Party PAC are building for the future, building stronger leadership focused at the local level that will stand for the rights of the people. The solutions to our economic, social, and political problems will not be coming from Washington, D.C. or Lansing. No matter, we can put up the best people imaginable. We got some great people in this room, but it's not going to come from the higher levels. It's going to come from we the people, from the local levels, from the people in this room. And we must do whatever is necessary. We must get involved, and we must shield our communities from the schemes of the globalists. So with that being said, we are proud to issue our Courage Under Fire Awards tonight. So could all the speakers from tonight come back up here, as well as Tom, John, and Jordan. And we're gonna present these awards. So come on up and stand over here, guys. William Null, Michael Null, and Lucas Gerhard Courage Under Fire Awards for keeping your dignity and self-respect and fighting back against the tyrants under the most dire of circumstances. We're proud to give these to you today. Thank you so much, guys. All right, sweet. A lot of man there for one picture. All right, well, great, amazing, touching speeches today. I'm going to bring Sean back up, and we're going to wrap up.
Okay, does it seem now, after seeing Michaela's face, I mean, victims like a 16-year-old girl who had to watch her father endure absolute tyranny, is it time for us to go on offense against the tyrants? Yeah. Should we give any quarter to Republican politicians who don't expose this and who don't at least speak out against it? No. The lobbyists, the big money, the consultants, they say that we need to run away from victims of government and that we should leave them alone to rot in jail. We want to highlight their stories, we want to take these stories, and we want to change the minds of people with them. That's what's being done tonight. It shows that this government is at war with us. We all know it, but we're here to say it. Amen. Yeah. We will not win this war by refusing to fight, not any of us. The Grand New Party PAC is here to lead the fight. We are not backing down from these issues. We present them in a compelling light. That's what you saw tonight. I've been emotionally moved by tonight, and I've spoken at a ton of events. I can't remember the last time that I was moved to tears, and I didn't think it would be tonight, but it was tonight. We are here to support the cream of the crop. I know I've asked it. Please don't leave here without donating, no matter how much you make, no matter what your life is like. Please donate something to the Grand New Party PAC. I want to say one last thing before I leave that's kind of funny. So I have had the privilege of being just a regular housewife and business owner and delegate to have had a close, personal, very short time relationship with President Trump. How many people here love President Donald Trump? I had a very strange time in my life 2 years ago where I was driving up to our cabin. I was on a dirt road on M33. I had 2 of my kids in the car. The phone rang from DC and somebody said, "We have President Trump on the line, Michonne, can you take the call?" It was an M33, there's no cell phone coverage, so I couldn't even believe that I got the call. I whipped into a driveway and I sat there for 45 minutes talking to President Trump about Michigan. It was the most amazing day of my whole life. The whole time I had him on speakerphone, my kids couldn't even believe it. They didn't believe it was real, but it was real. I went on to have many conversations with him over that last cycle about Michigan and different candidates and different things that we were trying to do and trying to win Michigan away from Gretchen Whitmer, which, you know, it didn't happen. But recently in August, I was on the phone with him again, and he was complaining about something, and I mentioned to him, "Mr. President, you know, I'm under indictment here in Michigan. I don't know if you know that." And his answer to me was, "Oh yeah? Well, you'll be fine. Everybody's under indictment." That's your president. Election day is Tuesday, the 27th. How many of you are planning on voting? Do not vote. Drag 10 people. It doesn't mean anything. It's very important. We need to show the world that Michigan supports Donald Trump, so make a plan to vote. And thank you very much for being here, and thank you to your beautiful families. Silent auction is ending now. You got 4 minutes. Make a run for it. 5 minutes.
5 minutes.